So some of you are wondering, the choir will be back next week. Hooray. Not that we haven't loved all of our special musicians. Jonathan lit up Facebook this week and all of social media with REM last week. Some of you really liked it because it only got reposted about 40 million times. So if you missed REM, I'm sorry. You'll have to find it on social media somewhere. Some people heard? Oh, yes, I know many people heard it. It was all over. I only listened to it every 7 times because it would play on that automatic on my Facebook as it pops up every time. I'd hear Jonathan singing. So this week I have watched, I think, most every minute of the media coverage surrounding the memorial services for Senator John McCain. It seems like I have not been alone in that. Democrats, Republicans, independents. And I can only speak for myself, but watching all of it has been really positive and really hopeful and inspirational to reflect on and celebrate the life of a person so admired and respected, even by people who deeply, deeply, deeply disagreed with him. There's been a spirit, it seems, this week, perhaps that people have been longing for. I was walking the dog yesterday afternoon, and this line kept going over and over in my head that I'd heard where the service in Arizona, and then the service in the Capitol Rotunda, and then the service in National Cathedral yesterday. This line about how the senator devoted his life to something greater than himself, to this set of ideals that's bigger than any one person, this intangible something that people desperately, really smart people who are usually really good with words, were desperately trying to put this something into words, and sometimes there just aren't words. And some of the talking heads actually got that, because one of them yesterday, I heard they said, "We're just going to be quiet now." And some of us on the other end of the television went, "Thank you." And one of those moments was when there was this gorgeous shot of Washington's National Cathedral. And I was thinking, they were talking about the inspirational setting of the National Cathedral in Washington, D.C., and I was thinking about the great cathedrals of the world and how sometimes there just are no words to describe the awe you experience in those great places. I know something about it because I worshiped every Sunday for 4 years in the walls, literally, of the Hollywood stunt double for the National Cathedral. First Church LA, where we served for many years. If you have a show, a television show or a movie you're shooting in LA, but you need a shot of the National Cathedral, they would always use us. And so I became accustomed to, and this really is National Cathedral. But yesterday, my 11-year-old said, "Why is First Church on television?" It's not. But these tall Gothic buildings pointing you up, the soaring arches and the flying buttresses, they were built to be grand. They were built to make you have this sense of awe and wonder and mystery, something that connects you to something bigger and greater than yourself. And it can be a little too much for some people, and I know that. It's grand and glorious and ostentatious. It's my word of the day, ostentatious. Some people call them out-of-date relics. But they're ostentatious. Sort of like silver lame in a Frank Lloyd Wright designed building. Silver lame can be a bit much or a lot much. It's a little out of place and ostentatious. on this third Sunday of our Reclaiming Jesus worship series, as we're trying to have more images of Jesus. Last week our letters were all mixed up and they were upside down, and the Jesus spelled something different. And we have a kindergartner among us, and it really was bothersome to him because he's learning his letters and his words. And so last Sunday after church, Gideon came and he had to sort the letters back out. God love him, J-E-S. That's his image of Jesus. The letters must be spelled correctly. And he looks up at me when he got done and he says, there, now it spells Jesus. Yay for that kindergarten teacher. But this week our image is silver lame. Whew, it's a lot. We agreed to that when our worship arts person, Grace, first used it back in February. We all agreed that it's a bit much. And as I was thinking about this sermon this week, I thought it's the too much Jesus that somehow, sometimes, some of us struggle with. We can make sense of the truly human Jesus. We can understand, even when we don't like it, the suffering Jesus that we talked about last week. And we can even wrap our minds around following teacher Jesus. But it seems that this mystery Jesus is something that a lot of folks struggle with, certainly in more progressive churches like ours, where we profess to be thinking folks. And thinking folks, it seems too often in their struggle with this mystery Jesus, they end up throwing the baby Jesus out with the baptismal waters. Because we can't quite get our 21st century selves around mystery. But our image this week in the 9th chapter of Mark explores this holy of holy Jesus. Silver lame Jesus, I've decided to call him. This silver lame Jesus that is such a mystery and source of consternation to people. People who don't want Jesus to be this magical figure, but want him to be more than just ordinary human person like us. But when we read these stories of silver lame Jesus, we just don't know what words to use, and so we say stupid things like silver lame Jesus. We don't know even what words to use to describe. I mean, really, how would you describe silver lame to somebody who'd never seen silver lame? Mystery is hard for us. Unknowing, we like to know. This uncontrollableness of silver lame Jesus, we just can't quite figure it out. In the Christian world, the people who figure it out best are Orthodox Christians. They probably do mystery and wonder better than anybody else as a collective community. Anybody ever worshiped in an Orthodox cathedral? Anybody ever worshiped in an Orthodox? Y'all are very quiet today. Are you awake out there? Good morning. Some of you have worshiped in an Orthodox cathedral. Those folks, they may not ordain women, but Lord of mercy, they can do smells and bells like nobody's business. It is goodness. If you are in need of smells and bells, the Orthodox are your place. If you need a little bit of mystery and wonder, the Orthodox are your people. And I love this quote from this Orthodox priest. And the first part is something you have, if you're around much, you've heard me say, and that is, it is not the task of Christianity to provide easy answers. But it is to make us progressively aware of mystery. And this last line, just, God is not so much the object of our knowledge as the cause of our wonder. We talk about knowing God because we know the person of Jesus. And usually we are talking about the truly human Jesus. We mentioned at 8:30 about some of us growing up as kids, many of us, you had the hair, the Jesus with the hair kind of like this, blonde and wavy. Even person of color at the 8:30 service says, yes, even in the black church we have blonde Jesus. It was so confusing. And some of you know the picture of Jesus where you get the side profile and he's looking off. And you think, what is he looking at? What is he thinking about? And when we only have that one very human image of Jesus, we take this vast mystery, this cause of our wonder, and we make it very small. We make Jesus, and by extension God, we make it very small. Maybe so we can feel better about ourselves, but God isn't supposed to be small. I was listening this week to a podcast with a Sufi teacher named Llewellyn Vaughan Lee. He was new to me. It was not someone I knew before, and I fell in love with him instantly. He was talking about the names of God and how Sufis often refer to God as that which has no name, but who appears by whatever name you call. That which has no name, but who appears by whatever name you call. He's talking about this all-encompassing God, full of mystery. And by limiting God only to the name of Jesus, brings it down so that we can wrap our arms and our minds around its smallness. And I think that's why we so long, twice a year, it really only happens twice a year that we focus on the mystery and the wonder side of Jesus. And it's not the high holy day of Labor Day that we tend to do that. Anybody want to guess? What are the 2 times a year when we really focus on the mystery and wonder of Jesus? Christmas and Easter. You were wondering why we were singing those hymns this morning. They thought, she has really fallen off the end this time. We only do it at Christmas and Easter. And yet, there's this sense of wonder that is so absent from most of our daily lives. And that's why Christmas and Easter feel so magical. I know that's a bad word for some people in church, but it feels so magical to us. It's this sense of wonderment. And this holy, truly divine Jesus gives us permission, perhaps. Silver LeMay, Jesus gives us permission not to get so caught up in the minutiae of virgin births and astrological charts with stars in the sky. Silver LeMay, Jesus just gives us space to say yes to the wonder and mystery that we celebrate at Christmas all year long. And Silver LeMay, Jesus helps us to feel safe, perhaps, in our questioning. That we don't really understand all the details behind what happened on Easter Sunday, but we know that we are connected to this presence that is bigger than we are, that we can't give easy answers to. And Silver LeMay, Jesus challenges us to be more aware of mystery and to allow a bit of wonder into our days. I have a friend who is a self-proclaimed agnostic. I've had many friends over the years. You probably have too, that are agnostics. And I always say to that person, well, aren't we all a little agnostic? I mean, in our best moments. I think we're at our best selves of fully embracing Silver LeMay Jesus when we say, God is so much bigger than I could ever know. And there is so much more that I just don't know, and I'm okay with that. That's an image of Jesus that we as progressive folks can say yes to. To say, you got questions? Good. Get on the bus. We do too. We probably got more than we got answers. We're okay with that. God is big enough to handle all of that. Silver Lame Jesus allows us to step into this over-the-top idea that there is something greater than ourselves, bigger than words can quite be sufficient for. It sets us outside the ordinary into the extraordinary. And I think, perhaps, that in embracing Silver Lame Jesus, we allow him to challenge us as ones like him who profess to be created in the image of God, that this particular image of Jesus should inspire us to be more than mere mortals as well. Inspire us to be a little shinier and reach beyond the ordinary into our best selves that we are created to be. This image of our brother Jesus includes each of us and all of us into the divine family that calls us not only into wonder, but striving for that kind of holy stuff in our own lives. There's a hymn we're going to sing. Maybe you know it. Can we have that hymn slide, the first line of that hymn slide on the... I know that's not in my notes, but this one. When I in awesome wonder consider all the worlds thy hands have made. You know, when we consider the stars and all of creation, all that stuff that's bigger than we can or should get our heads around, in the moments when Silver Lame Jesus sounds ridiculous and ostentatious, in the moments when our soul finds wonder, when our soul finds wonder and sings, that's when you know Silver Lame Jesus is present. When our soul finds wonder and sings, pointing us to something bigger and better, more holy than we ever thought we could imagine. That's when we can open our arms wider than we can reach for the presence of mystery. May it be so.